Welcome to the second of our sofa sessions. This week we're going to be discussing neurodiversity and writing. Neurodiversity is a term used to describe the differences in people's brains in terms of sociability, learning, attention, mood, and other mental functions. Examples of neurodivergence are autism, dyslexia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, and obsessive compulsive disease, OCD. Now we're here today to discuss neurodivergent and writing, and in particular, how people can write using their differences to create amazing work. Now I'd like to introduce you to two fellow Exeter authors. We have Morwenna Blackwood.
Hi.
And Brian Willis. Right. And the three of us are here to talk about neurodivergency. So Morwenna, can you tell everybody about your writing, first of all?
Yes, sure. I write psychological thrillers, which are pretty dark. My publisher's called Dark Stroke, so that makes sense. And I'm writing a series at the moment where one of the strongest themes is mental health. I'm just fascinated by people's thought processes anyway, which is why I became a writer, I guess, and the way that all our stories are inextricably linked, and chaos theory, all of it, how actions, reactions, that sort of thing. But I've had a lot of experience with the mental health service, the NHS, stuff like that. So some of it is from experience. And I just wanted to get over the sort of highlight the fact that if you've got a mental illness, it is an illness, not a personality quirk. Sorry, I've got a cat just jumped over the keyboard. I do apologise. Yeah, in my latest novel, it's only been out a week, Glasshouse, that actually follows the lives of two psychiatrists and two psychiatric patients. And I just wanted to show that there's sort of darkness within everybody, because I know that it's really easy to sort of, if you want a psychopathic killer, give them a mental illness. No, it's not like that. The psychiatrists, the patients, how they react to their circumstances, is what it's all about, really. And the fact that we are all human, and the way which we react shows how we are, not our illnesses and our labels, really. So yeah, that's what interests me, and that's why I'm writing. How about you, Brian?
Well, that sounds very complex to me. I mean, I am mildly dyslexic. It was discovered not all that many years ago when I had a sight test, and the colour side of it. And at that, I mean, I was a university engineer, so I couldn't be colourblind, and they were telling me I was colourblind because I couldn't read this. It was a number, I think, in this sea of colour. I said, but I could tell you the colours, and I told them the colours, but I couldn't see the figure. And that's when they said, well, you're mildly dyslexic. Well, I was always a terrible speller, I know that, although it's improved. And I mean, when I started school, which would have been, I was born in 1946, so when I was 4 when I started school, because my birthday's in August, I used to do, so I'm told, I can vaguely remember, mirror writing. I used to write back to front, and I'm left-handed, as all geniuses are. and they made me, well, briefly made me write right-handed, which completely mucked me up. But then that stopped. They stopped that. And I've always been a slow writer and a bad, not a very good speller, but I still did well in English, particularly writing essays, but they were always short essays because I could never keep the pace. But and as for sort of, I always wrote short stories on and off all through my life, but it's only in recent years that I don't bother with it. If I can't spell it, I can't spell it. I write it down phonetically, and I check it out later. And by constant reviewing and checking, I find I'm actually improving. So, and of course, I've got nothing to prove at 74, you know. So, you know, I don't get hung up about it, but I used to be a bit hung up about it in the past. But other than that, apart from anything else, I think I'm fair. That would be my neuro. Only just heard of it. Neurodivergence, I suppose, would be that. And over to PJ now. Sure, could enlighten us even further.
Oh, thank you. I don't think I enlighten anybody. It's too late in the day for that. Well, I'm PJ Reed. I'm classed as quite dyslexic. But apart from that, I am a multi-genre author. I write Japanese short style poetry called haiku, and human haiku, which is senryu, and long poetry and dark fantasy. And also I write paranormal investigative horror. Now, the neurodivergence in me is wonderful because I'm actually dyslexic, and I'm not a little bit dyslexic, I'm actually quite a lot dyslexic. And if my teachers thought I'd be writing these days, so I don't know, they'd turn over in their grave, to be brutally frank. Because I mean, I wasn't actually diagnosed with dyslexia until university, because everybody couldn't actually understand why, you know, I was relatively intelligent, but my writing was really, really slow, and I had massive gaps in my understanding. and also when I speak, suddenly words go, and when I'm reading, suddenly, even in my own work, I can be reading my own work, and suddenly I'll come across a word, and not only can I not read that word, I can't actually physically understand that word. I can't see a single letter or recognize a single letter in that word, which is wonderful if you're reading rhyming poetry.
You do remarkably well.
Yeah, I just laugh about it now, really, because you're there reading and suddenly you think, oh, I can't read my work anymore, I'm going to make it up. So yeah, so my thing is, even if you are quite dyslexic, and even at school, if they've told you that, you know, you're slow or you're lazy, don't believe them. Carry on writing, practice writing, and you'll be amazed where you can go. Now, Morwenna, would you class yourself as neurodivergent?
Yeah, I would. I've suffered with OCD since I was a very small child. I didn't get diagnosed till I was 14, but it was just causing absolute chaos in my life to the point of, well, hospitalization, that sort of stuff. And it has a massive effect when I'm writing, because when I used to write everything freehand, and I'd be writing something and then I'd get this awful thought in my head, and I'd think that it had gone through from my head all the way down my pen, through my pen and into my writing. So I used to have to physically write over what I'd written again to put this thought right. So trying to write anything was it just took me so long. It was absolutely unbelievable. It's taken me till the age of, well, I was 42 when the first novel came out. So it's taken me that long to sort of get into the space of, I don't know, dealing with it and accepting that it's not going to go away and there's not going to be a cure, but that at the same time, it makes me different. And I think that's a good thing in your writing, really. Every minority, every facet of humanity should be portrayed in writing, because it's all part of the human experience, isn't it? But yeah, I have had pretty bad troubles. And I also got a thing where if I was sending anything off, I mean, back in the day when I started writing, it was all through post. So you write it out or type it out, and then as soon as it goes through post box, I'd be putting it in, taking it out, putting it in, taking it out, like in the middle of the street, which is awful, because I thought I was sending like a hate letter or something like that. And even now with email submissions, I have to check so many times before I press send, and then I don't sleep at night just in case I've written something awful. When I haven't, it's just a story, but my brain's telling me something really, really awful is going to happen. So yeah, it's quite difficult, but it's not gonna stop me anymore. Life is far too short, and you can find ways around things. So yeah.